These are the Chat City interviews from 103.2 Preston FM.
Now, after my next interview, you are never going to look the same way at breakfast ever again. I don't want to get you paranoid, but I just know tomorrow morning your breakfast will be probably very different than ever it has been before. Because are you aware that people can tell about your personality and also about your ideal love match by the way you eat your toast in the morning? And to find out more, I'm pleased to say that I'm going to now talk to local psychologist Dr. Sandi Mann. Sandi, a very good afternoon.
Good afternoon, psychologist and toast expert.
Well, yes, that's right, toast expert.
And jam.
And jam. I must admit, this morning I was having Special K, and I was thinking about, I've not seen anything in regard to Special K, and I don't know what that would tell about me and my lifestyle.
It says that you really ought to switch to toast and jam, because then we can analyse your personality. Cereal's no good for me. I can't analyse you.
Oh dear. So come on, tell me, what is this all about? I mean, academics have revealed that personality and ideal love match can be determined by how you eat your toast in the morning. So how?
Well, what happened was I was approached by those lovely bread people at Robert's Bakery and the jam people at Dewar's Jams, and they said, look, do you think you can actually tell what people are like from the way they eat their breakfast? And I gave it some thought, and actually psychologists can tell all sorts of things about people from the most minor detail. And I thought this was a good way to bring psychology to ordinary people and show them how it can affect your everyday life. So I came up with this sort of matrix, analysing everything from the type of bread you choose to how you cut it to what topping you put on it, and came up with this sort of matrix, tested it on a lot of people who were amazed at how accurate it was. And came up with this sort of personality profile. Have you done it yet?
Yes, I did. I did it. I think it was last week.
What did you come out as?
Well, I'm kind of easygoing and quite friendly and different things like that, I think was my kind of... But I have been asking other people to do it, and we are going to get our listeners to do it after the interview. Because
go on.
I mean, spreading butter to the edge means that you are a fussy perfectionist who likes things to be just so. So I'm now going round looking at people when they're putting... I was sat in a supermarket the other morning and people were having breakfast, and it was fascinating watching people, how they spread the butter to the end of the toast.
Well, it is fascinating, and I must say I do watch people probably more than I should do. I could get arrested, I think. But what's fascinating is that it's not just one thing in isolation. So, somebody could be listening now and sitting there thinking, well, I'm not like that, and I spread my butter. It's looking at a range of things they do, not just a one-off. And that's really the basis of all sort of personality profiling. The more information you can get on somebody, the clearer a picture you can get. So what we're doing is there's a range of questions. I don't know, maybe 10 questions. So that obviously if it's too long, people won't want to do it. So it's a balance between trying to get as much information and trying to be as sort of accurate as possible.
So you also have challenged some of your friends, as you say, when you've asked them and found out that it is actually that the outcome has been, as reflected what they are like personality-wise.
Yeah, I mean, I've been tweeted. I've got all sorts of people saying, gosh, this is amazing. I've got one person tweeted and said, Diana, this is amazing. I'm going to get my wife to do this now. And then they tweeted they're getting divorced. So I'm not very happy about that one. But I'm angelic.
You're angelic?
I am angelic. I have a halo because I go for the healthy bread and that sort of thing. So I'm feeling quite good about myself.
So how long were you, then did you look at this to come out with the results that are now, available when people take the test?
Yeah, I mean, it's available online, so anybody can do it just by logging on. I think it's toastandmarmalade.com or something like that. And it took me a long time, actually, because you have to look at all the different aspects of personality. And I also wanted to make sure that there were no bad personalities. I didn't want anyone to take this test, because it's a bit of fun. I didn't want anyone to take it and come out thinking, oh my gosh, I've got a terrible personality, because there's no such thing as a bad personality, generally. So all the personalities are good and positive, with positives and negatives associated with each of them, which is real life, really.
And I mean, there are some lovely questions like how many toppings can you handle?
Yeah, well,
I did
some
like
people,
that one.
really indulge and really load it on, and they can't choose between the raspberry and the strawberry, so they'll have both. And good for them, but whereas others it's just butter.
Yeah, and to me, I mean, one of the most difficult questions was the buttery knife dilemma. Do you put your butter knife in the jam jar?
Never, because I'm angelic, so
Yeah.
I would never do that. Do you?
Oh dear. I suppose I'd have to be truthful because I'd be in trouble when I get home. Yes, I do. Oh.
Yeah, well, you see, we wouldn't be compatible. So that's that, I'm afraid.
That's right. So you see, it does work, doesn't it? And,
well, it can do. I mean, in all seriousness, there's obviously lots of factors to take into account. But it really is quite interesting. As I say, I've had a lot of people just amazed at how accurate it is. And I think, it's a bit of fun and makes you think a little bit more deeply about your breakfast in the morning.
Yeah. And I understand, I think you are based at UCLan, is that right?
I am, and I don't spend all my days doing research on toast. I do other things there.
I know. So what about psychology and when it comes to human behaviour and human traits? I mean, how accurate are we in being able to pinpoint, not only through breakfast, but maybe through other areas of study and researching, being able to determine people's behaviours and traits?
Well, we're actually very good at it because we've been doing it for a long time now, many, many years, not me personally, but psychologists over the years. And there are some very, very advanced personality profiles and systems that have been tested over thousands of people, of which the toast and jam one is just one, of course. But there are others that look at all sorts of aspects of your life, not just eating what sort of toast you eat. And they're very accurate. But there's never going to be 100% accurate because unless you can actually get inside somebody's brain, you can only infer by their behaviour and their attitudes. You can never really get 100% accuracy. But it's still fun trying, and it's all very interesting and exciting. If anybody's interested, they can come to UCLan and study it.
That's right. And I mean, your particular area of psychology is?
Well, I actually specialise in emotions. So for me, anything to do with emotional behaviour and emotions just fascinates me. Do you know what I'm particularly interested in? It's boredom.
Yes, right. That's very interesting. Boredom.
It's not boring. It's not boring at all.
No, in fact, a contrast in words and terms there, boredom and
not
interesting.
At all. I think boredom is absolutely fascinating. I could talk about it for hours, but you'll probably cut me off.
But I mean, boredom actually can be a very good thing to have, isn't it? Because boredom then is very good in creation and being a creative person if you're bored, because then you have to determine and challenge yourself to do something. Would that be correct?
Wow, have you read my research? That is exactly what I've come up with. In fact, I've just done some research recently that looked at exactly that and found out exactly what you should be studying psychology. You're brilliant at this.
Well, I've not read it honestly, but that is the way I feel about it. So is that correct?
Yeah, absolutely correct. I mean, I actually did some research with a student at UCLan, and we got people really, really bored, not by me talking or lecturing to them, but we got them reading telephone numbers from a phone directory, which was the most boring thing we could think to ask people to do. Then we gave them creativity tasks, and we found that we actually got them to be more creative when they were more bored. So you're absolutely right.
Oh, very, very interesting. So back to the breakfast. Where can our listeners go to take the challenge and find out more about themselves?
I think it's www.toastandmarmalade.com, something like that, but presumably they can ring into you and get the full details.
In fact, yes, I've got it. It's www.marmaladeandtoast.co.uk.
I got it the wrong way around, didn't I?
That's right, yes, there you are, you see. And listeners can take the test below, and I hope they'll contact me on studio@preston.fm and let me know about the results. So what's going to be next? You've done breakfast, so what's the next challenge along the way?
Well, do you know what? I quite fancy doing coffee next.
Yes. What do you think we would be able to determine by the way people... I mean, in fact, when you think about that could be a fascinating one, because these days you go into a coffee shop and the range is so wide of coffees that you want to scream out, I just want a coffee.
Yeah, and the size of them, and it's bewildering, the choice. And the fact that people can make choices actually and decide what to have always bemuses me. But I don't drink coffee. I only have hot chocolate, so I'm easy in that sense.
Right, but no. In fact, I think a serious study could be there about coffee, because I do go into a coffee shop, and you look at the various coffees, and as you say, the size of the cup, and then do you want chocolate on the top, or do you? And you think, I've just come in for a coffee and a break, and you go out really frustrated and feeling irritable. So
too much choice.
That's right.
Too much choice can be bewildering. And I think for people who aren't used to it, it can be bewildering, and it can lead to sort of overload as well.
So that is another one, another study, as you say, alongside boredom in a way, is the irritability.
Yeah, well, if any coffee house wants to get in touch with me to sponsor this research, then please do so.
Brilliant. So, as I say, our listeners can go to www.marmaladeandtoast.com. And what was also interesting to read was the history to Dewars being the oldest family-owned marmalade and jam maker in England, being in existence for 132 years.
And they make lovely jam.
I know. So we shall have to try some.
Goes very well with Robert's Bakery bread as well. We've got to get their name in as well.
Well, it's been lovely speaking to you, and as I say, we will ask our listeners to take the test and let us know how they go on. I'd
love them to tweet me their responses at Sandi Psych, and then I can share them and have a chat with them.
Okay, give me that one again. That would be
at Sandi Psych, SandiPsych, as in psychology.
Brilliant.
And then I like having a chat with people who've done my questionnaire and find out if anybody else is angelic like me. It might be just me. I might be the only angelic person out there, especially in Preston.
Yes. Well, yes, hopefully they'll do that, and maybe at some point soon we could have a longer discussion about boredom.
That would be lovely. I'm sure it won't be boring at all.
No, I'm sure it wouldn't be boring, and I would enjoy it.
That's great.
Okay, well, thank you for talking to us.
Lovely.
A pleasure talking to you, Dr. Sandi Mann. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye now, bye.
If you have any news or events you'd like to share with Huey and our Chat City team, why not give us an email, chatcity@preston.fm.